Remember the Alamo. Today, March 6th, commemorates the Battle of the Alamo and the day almost 200 men lost their lives in fighting for what they believed was right. Many years ago, my father got tired of his kids watching silly shows, and he wanted me to watch something that really happened, a part of history. So this 9-year-old little girl curled up in her mother's rocking chair and watched the movie The Alamo. It starred John Wayne and Richard Widmark, Lawrence Harvey, Ken Curtis, Chill Wills, John Durkees, and a very young Frankie Avalon, among many, many other great talented actors. Richard Widmark played Jim Bowie, who is famous for the Bowie knife. As I watched this movie, I was just glued to it. When I saw Jim Bowie die, I cried. It was then, on that day, that Jim Bowie became my hero. From that day on, I learned everything I could about Jim Bowie and the Alamo. I watched many Richard Widmark movies and later Alan Ladd movies who played Jim Bowie in his younger years in the movie called The Iron Mistress. People don't have heroes as much these days, and I feel they are important to have in our lives. I was teased and bullied so badly when I was young. Other kids would make fun of me to the point I would cry, and then I would be teased even more. It was so hard to deal with, not feeling accepted or welcomed. One of the things that got me through it was thinking about my hero, Jim Bowie, and the other men there at the Alamo. I thought of their sacrifice and how they didn't have to stay there, but they did and endured a great deal of hardships, and most lost their lives. So in my mind, if they remained and gave the ultimate sacrifice, I could handle some teasing from other kids. The Alamo is located in the heart of San Antonio, and no, there isn't a basement there. I joined the Air Force before I graduated high school on a delayed enlistment program, and their basic training was in San Antonio. There was no guarantee, however, that I would get to see the Alamo, so my dad offered me $1,000 in cash or a trip to see the Alamo for my high school graduation. I took the trip. So he drove my sister and a neighbor and I all the way from PA to San Antonio, Texas, camping along the way and seeing a few other places too. I've returned many times over the years, as San Antonio is one of my favorite cities. Be sure and like and subscribe to my channel here, as I'll be sharing some reviews on the restaurants and take you down the famous Riverwalk. So what is the Alamo? It was originally a Spanish mission and later became an integral part of the Battle of the Alamo and is now a shrine for Texas liberty. There has been many excavations and discoveries made throughout the grounds of the Alamo, and it has only been enriched and expanded over the years. I'll include a link that is full of information on the Alamo, from its rich history, the battle, the people, and the many, many events. In the courtyard, there is a memorial honoring those who fought and died at the Alamo. Some of the events include reading of the letter that Colonel Travis wrote in 1836 that still exists to this day. Part of it read, "I am determined to sustain myself as long as possible and die like a soldier who never forgets what is due to his honor and that of his country, victory or death." There are also camp reenactments, parades, and many other events, and even, yes, ghost tours at night outside the Alamo itself. Be sure and check out the link in the description below. Of note, you can also become an ally of the Alamo. An ally, or friend of the Alamo, is the official membership program, which helps preserve the site and provides benefits like free exhibit admissions, exclusive event invitations, and an official decal. Membership supports educational programs and a 300-year history preservation. One year, as an ally, I was able to be part of a commemoration where I sat inside the Alamo mission itself as a lady bagpiper came in playing. I was the first person to stand in honor of that, and everyone else followed suit. There was a reading by a city official inside the Alamo, and later we were taken to another building that is part of the complex and enjoyed a breakfast, or desayuno in Spanish. Each time I have visited there, I have stood in this one spot in the mission itself and felt a presence. Many times I have felt the tears fall down my face in thinking about what had happened there on that spot. Years later, I found out that the famous singer Phil Collins is also an Alamo buff ever since he was a young boy at 5 years old, and he fell in love with the history when he watched Davy Crockett, The Wild Frontier on TV. He had amassed quite a collection of Alamo memorabilia and artifacts over many decades, and has donated his amazing collection to the Alamo that will eventually be housed in a museum that is part of the restoration. For now, it is on display at the Alamo exhibit in the Ralston Family Collection Center. There have been quite a few movies about the Alamo, and of course about Davy Crockett and Jim Bowie. Some are more accurate than others, but my favorite about the Alamo is John Wayne's version, who used his own money to make the movie, while remains of the movie set itself is out in Brackettville, Texas. I got to visit many years ago during that trip with my dad, and if I come upon those pictures, I'll share them in a future video. Sadly, it is no longer open to the public and is permanently closed. But not just movies were made at this time in history, but music as well. Johnny Cash and Marty Robbins recorded songs about the Alamo, and I had the soundtrack to the movie, which has some beautiful music. This led me to some great Mexican brass albums and songs from old Mexico. Thank you to the Daughters of the Republic of Texas for all that you have done, and to those who continue that work in keeping watch and taking such great care of the Alamo in honoring the men who fought and died there. And for Texas and all people everywhere, for it made an impact on a young 9-year-old girl. Texas will always be a part of my heart, and I will always, always remember the Alamo. Thanks guys for watching. I appreciate you liking and subscribing to my channel. Remember the Alamo.